Hello and welcome to another episode of Grow and Grieve podcast. This is your host, Stephanie Fetterman, and I am so excited to have you here today. Today is going to be a little bit different because it is the new year after all. It is January 1st, 2023, and quite honestly, I just cannot believe that we are in another year. I remember growing up thinking how slowly time seemed to go by. And now that I'm an adult with kids, I just seriously cannot get over how quickly each year passes. So this episode is going to look a little different. I am still going to talk a little bit about grief, but since it is the New Year's, we are going to talk goals, perspectives, and gratitude. So I'm actually titling today's episode, Goals, Perspectives, and Gratitude. Oh my. So let's kick this off and talk about goals. I don't know if you're like me, but usually January 1st rather, I have all of these expectations of how the year is going to be amazing. All these amazing things are going to happen. It's going to be my year, yada, 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 right? And then life sits in and come December 31st, I look back and I'm like, well, I didn't even accomplish a fraction of what I expected to accomplish. And I know that a lot of times on December 31st, there's a little bit of a heaviness, like another year, I didn't achieve the things that I wanted to achieve. But I'm speaking for myself. I often have these like lofty goals and my expectations are way up here, but then reality sets in and, this is my reality. And, so I just want to kind of help anybody that is kind of in that same boat and struggles with that same thing. One of the things that I learned in nursing school was an acronym called SMART goals. So when we would be setting up nursing care plans for our patients, we would have to set SMART goals. They're specific, meaning that what is a specific area that you want to improve? They are measurable. You would have to be able to measure or track progress in some capacity. They are achievable, meaning they're not just some crazy lofty goal that really isn't attainable. They are realistic. Again, it has to be something that can actually happen given the resources that you have, right? And then time bound, within a set amount of time, you are going to reach said goal. So my hope is that as we are setting goals for this new year, that we are setting SMART goals and not just all of these. Granted, believe me, I'm wanting all the amazing things to happen too, but I struggle with that disappointment come December 31st. And I know this year in particular, as we were heading into the new year, it felt kind of foreign to me for the first time because normally I'm so excited and so eager, and it was as if there's just a heaviness about it and just not really wanting to set a bunch of goals because honestly, I didn't want to let myself down yet again. And so I really haven't set any resolutions for this year. And quite frankly, I don't know that I will. But, I'm definitely going to little by little inch because I'm constantly wanting to improve myself no matter what I'm doing and what, with doing this podcast or any other area where I'm doing anything worthwhile. I want to continuously improve. I want to continuously be getting better in some capacity because I don't think that we are meant to just be stagnant and not growing in some capacity. So that's my little spiel on goals is, if you're setting goals this year, make sure that they are SMART goals. Make sure they're specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time bound. And I would love to hear your goals and, your progress, honestly, because one of the things that I'm most passionate about is helping people to walk out their purpose. I truly believe that we are given a God-given purpose and that and I want to help everybody, or as many people as I can rather, achieve those goals and achieve those purposes, because I feel like when you're truly walking out what it is that you were created to do, it's such an incredible feeling. Like I know that I was put on this earth to be a mom. I love being a mom, but I also love being a nurse. I love what I do. I love taking care of my patients. Like I genuinely get so much joy from it. And I honestly, I wasn't sure how I was going to enjoy doing podcasting, because this is so out of my comfort zone. But honestly, the more that I'm doing it, the more that I'm getting comfortable with it, the more I'm starting to enjoy it. So yeah, so there's that. Next up, perspective. It is easy to lose focus on the bigger picture of why you're doing what you're doing, especially when we come up against trials and obstacles. It's super easy. It's super easy to say, well, this just must not be meant for me to do because of X, Y, Z. And honestly, sometimes, I know for me anyway, there are times where I just don't feel like I'm good enough. And I figure that that's maybe why I haven't achieved, whatever it is. Honestly, trials are actually building us and solidifying us and making us stronger for the next level. And I kind of believe that each year is another level, another layer of, what is building us up as individuals and helping us to become further and further, I guess, closer, or I don't even know how you want to put it, but solidifying us into who we were created to be. And we can't really do that without trials and without struggles, because if you think about cement, you have, with the water, it's just water. With the cement mixture dirt stuff, it's just cement mixture dirt stuff. But when you combine it, it is solid. It is absolutely solid. And I really believe that that combination of, the water and the cement mixture is our trials. It's what, it thickens us, it solidifies us, it makes us stronger. And I don't know if this is the best analogy, but that's just what kind of popped in my head when I was talking about it. And, honestly, even though trials are hard, trials suck. Let me just say that. Trials suck. And I will just say that right now. But one of the things that has helped me in dealing with trials, in dealing with areas of just being so broken and so disappointed and so hurt and so lost, is trying to find that silver lining. One of the things, I guess I'll put it this way. Everything bad that I've experienced or that I've gone through, I now look back. And it's harder when you're in the moment, I will say. When you're in the moment and you're in the midst of that suffering and that grief and just that feeling, it is hard to find the silver lining. But honestly, I can say, looking back on my life, that anytime that I have experienced hurt or loss or disappointment, I can now look back and say, had I not gone through that, I would not have this. And honestly, sometimes it's a conscious decision. You don't even realize that you're doing it, or I guess it's subconscious. It's a choice. It is a choice that we have to make to look for the silver lining, because honestly, it's so easy to get overwhelmed in what is going on, what is surrounding us, that sometimes it's hard to make that choice to look for the good in the situation. So good, I guess the best way to say it is God redeems everything. And I know that I mentioned at the beginning, faith is such a huge portion, or a huge part of everything that I do. And honestly, without my faith, I don't know that I would be able to get through half the stuff that I do or that I have. And, that is honestly what solidifies me as a person, is my faith. And I know that even in the midst of my deepest pain and the worst things that I've gone through, like I know that God has redeemed each and every situation that I've gone through. This is something I don't share a lot about because honestly, this part of my life was honestly the farthest that I've been from God. And it's not a season that I'm super proud of because that was the farthest that I've honestly been from God. But before I got pregnant with Steven, I had a miscarriage, and it was a very, very traumatic miscarriage. My family did not know that I was pregnant because honestly, I was just ashamed that I was having sex before marriage. But I ended up in the hospital needing emergency surgery because I was hemorrhaging. And I just remember having to sign a waiver for like a blood transfusion because I was literally bleeding so much. And I remember thinking to myself, I might die and not even my dad knows that I'm laying here in the hospital. And that was probably one of the lowest seasons that I've been in. And I didn't have like my core family to support me in the midst of that season, like they did after when they found out when everything kind of came out. But that was hard. That was really, really hard because I genuinely thought, I was 19 years old, I think like 18 or 19. I was super young, and I seriously thought that I was going to die, and nobody knew that I was there. My son's dad and his mom was there as well, but I don't think that I have ever felt more alone than I was in that season. But I can look back at that season and I can say like, I got Steven out of that because I went through that. Again, God redeemed it. He is a redeemer, and he redeemed that season. He gave me my son. And honestly, Steven has taught me so much about what it is to love another person. And he has helped me grow up. I was 19 when I got pregnant with him, 20 when I had him. And so we grew up together, and he really helped me to shift my perspective and see the good in the midst of the hurt and the loss and the grief. And truly one of my greatest blessings came out of that. Now to kind of like flip the script on gratitude. Like I know I don't really know the best segue to go from that to gratitude. But again, I guess in a way, I am very grateful for what I went through. Yes, it was hard. Yes, I wouldn't recommend it for anybody, like that miscarriage and that, though, especially because how traumatic it was. It was horrible. It was horrible. And I would not wish that on anybody. But like I said, out of that, I got my son, and I'm so grateful for everything that I had to go through that led me to him. So I guess that's where you can segue into the gratitude. But last year, I feel like this podcast in particular is all over the place. I'm sorry for those listening. But last year, I was believing God for a few miracles. Honestly, there's still a lot of miracles that I'm believing him for. But I remember one day when I was in my quiet time, I was, praying from a place of lack and just asking God for all the areas where I did not feel like, I felt like I was missing the mark, or I felt there was something lacking. And I really felt him impress upon my heart, pray from a place of gratitude. And it was amazing because in that shift of praying from a place of gratitude, I began to realize I lack nothing. Yes, I don't have everything that I want, but everything that I need, I have. And just being grateful for all that I've been given. And honestly, because I'm in Christ, or for those that are believers, those that are in Christ, we truly lack nothing. And I think one of the hardest parts is that we often compare ourselves to, what society is saying that we need to have to be successful, to have our lives have any kind of significance. We need to meet all of these criteria. We need to fit in these little boxes and do these little things. But at the end of the day, like, all of that stuff doesn't matter. What matters is who we are on the inside, and understanding that we truly lack nothing, and changing our mindsets from a place of lack to a place of realizing that we have everything that we need. And let me kind of give an example. So shifting my perspective, right? I know I talked about my mom passing away and not having my mom here, but even though my mom is not here, God has blessed me with incredible women that have surrounded me, that have kind of filled that void for me. And while they're not my biological mom, they fill that mom role in various capacities. And again, he redeemed that situation. Yes, I lost my mom, but he has redeemed that situation. He has given me so much. And I can't help but just constantly come from a place of gratitude and just thankfulness for all that I've been blessed with. So my encouragement to you on this New Year's Day, this new year, is to set your goals. Don't forget to keep perspective. Don't forget to remember why you're doing these things, because when things come up, because life does happen, you're going to look at your big picture. You're going to look at why are you doing this? Who are you doing this for? Are you doing this because it's something that you truly want, or is it because somebody else wants something for you? And you've got to really kind of take a step back and look at the goals that you're setting, why you're setting them, who you're setting them for. But then in the midst of the obstacles, because they will come, they always do, look for the good. Look for that silver lining. Shift your perspective. Maybe take a step back and just be like, okay, this isn't a failure. Maybe in some capacity it is a quote unquote failure, but you've learned something. So it's not truly a failure if you've learned something and you can move forward. So my encouragement to you is to look for that silver lining. Look for ways to which you can learn and press on, keep going forward, and honestly, at the end of the day, practice gratitude. I hope you have a wonderful year, and I can't wait to see what else this year holds. Have a good day. Remember, goodbyes are not guaranteed. I hope that this podcast watered your life so you can grow in grief today. If you have something that you would like to bring to my attention for us to talk about on this podcast, please email me at growingrief@gmail.com. Thank you.